With basketball season in full swing, Fanatics Sportsbook is giving you more ways to score big this holiday season. Every bet earns you up to 10% fan cash, win or lose. So even if a bet doesn't hit, you're still building fan cash you can use for holiday shopping at fanatics.com, from jerseys to collectibles and more. If you haven't made the switch, now's the time. Fanatics Sportsbook, winning hits different here. Welcome to the Putback here on SNY.TV with Ian Begley. It's presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. I have two fantastic guests today. We got the Hall of Famer, Gary Payton, 9-time All-Star, one of the best defenders in basketball history. He's here to talk to us about the NBA Cup and a little Knicks talk. And we have my friend and yours, CP, the Fanchise of Knicks Fan TV. As always, we're going to get it started with the baseline. Knicks beating the Raptors rather easily on the road to advance to the NBA Cup semifinals. They are 8-1 in their last 9 games. Gary, I want to start with you because this tournament, it's been around for a couple of years now. What are your thoughts of a mid-season tournament here, something that the league and Adam Silver are trying to do?
Well, Ian, it's something different. You really don't have nothing in between seasons. You know what I'm saying? Guys are trying to gear up for something, but now you're making it competitive for these players to play in something and give the fans a different view of things. Especially they get to come to Vegas during the time for this weekend and have another special event where I've been at every year, and they have different things outside of the arena to do. I think these guys are really amped up for it. Ever since the Lakers won the first one, people want to put their banners. The Lakers went so far of putting a banner up like they won the NBA championship. But this is something for them to compete. They're going to compete. They're making it something that is going to be great for fans and great for themselves. And they can say that they won the interleague championship, and that's what these guys want to do.
So you're saying, Gary, that you, Sean Kemp, Detlef Schrempf, and the group, you guys would all be fired up about this tournament if you guys were going out to Vegas as a team.
Absolutely. We would be fired up. We would want to do the things to do, especially what Oklahoma City is doing right now. They're on a roll. They haven't even lost in this tournament probably. So, in the leading up to the semifinals, and these guys are wanting to make a statement and say, hey, we're the best team in the NBA. And when people win this, I think they're telling people, man, we're for real. And this is what they're seeing, and this is what it's going to be. The 4 teams that's going to be in it, it's going to be a great showcase.
CP, how about you? Are you into this? Are you excited about this weekend and maybe early next week?
Yeah, for sure. And you know us, Ian, at Knicks Fan TV, we track this team from summer league to the preseason on. And so as someone who has a vested interest in the regular season, I'm rooting for the Knicks to take this thing home after being eliminated from the quarterfinals in the last 3 years. And you heard a lot of the older players talking about how they want to win this for some of the back end of the rotation players. Some of those guys are fighting on 2-way contracts and fighting for their NBA lives. So a little extra salary for them is definitely a good thing. But I also think it's a good thing for the league to have the Knicks finally in Vegas. You had the prospects of the Lakers making it there, but should the Knicks make it past the Orlando Magic in the semifinals and the Thunder get past the Spurs, you have a big time matchup there between your NBA champion and one of your hottest markets and a potential NBA Finals matchup.
Yeah, it could be fun. It could be a lot of fun. And the prizes that you mentioned, semifinalists getting $106,000, $212,000 for the runner-up, and $530,000 for the champs. And the coach also gets that money, and I think it gets split up among the assistants, which I kind of like that feature. But for you, Gary, when you think about that prize money, would it be important to you to get that and to help maybe the guys at the end of the bench who weren't making as much? Would you see that as motivation? Because some guys in the league now have talked about that.
I've always seen that because when we were in the NBA and when I was in the NBA and during our time, we would always want them guys like the ball boys, the managers and stuff like that to get a piece of the pie because they work so hard doing the things that we were doing, and especially with it's going just like the NBA or the playoffs. You'll get a share and then they'll split it. These guys are not going to make too much money, and especially if they can win it and get 500,000 and then split it up, and then the guys who own a two-way get 500,000. That's doing something to their career. They're trying to bust their butts off and do the things that they have to do. And I think this is great to give this money. And then what it does is make these guys compete. It makes them compete for something, and then they want to be having that chip on their shoulder, not just because of the money, just because they're raising it up and saying, I won. I'm the champ, and that's what these guys want to do. And I think this is way to motivate these guys because they're making so much money. It's got to be a pride in this. When I'm there, I wanted to go home and say, hey, I'm on the playground, man. I won everything. I took the Interleague championship. I took the NBA championship. I won MVP in this. And my guys talking about, man, you was killing this year, man. You the man. And that's what I would want. I would want that to happen every.
We might have lost Gary there for a second. So hopefully he comes back and joins us. But CP, you look at this matchup, right, with the Magic Saturday. Kind of an unexpected matchup here. Knicks 1-2 against Orlando so far this season. No Franz Wagner. What do you see here? Are you looking at this as any kind of a litmus test?
Big time, because I think we've already gotten to see a potential playoff matchup between these two teams, and this being the fourth matchup between these guys, and the Knicks losing the season series so far 2-1. And Orlando presents a lot of challenges for the Knicks, most notably their size and the amount of wings and front court depth that they have. They make it tough for the Knicks. They've been holding the Knicks to under their season average in terms of three-point attempts and three-point percentage. And what we just saw in last Sunday's win over the Magic is it did not come easy for the Knicks. They were only able to score 106 points, and so they had to fight for tough shots. Luckily, Jalen Brunson was able to have his way out there, but against the Magic, the Knicks are going to have to focus on locking in on Desmond Bane. He's coming off of the 37-point performance against the Miami Heat, 9 straight points in that opening fourth quarter, which really separated the Magic from the Heat. And then there's Paolo Banchero as well. And so the Magic present a tough matchup for the Knicks, but it's going to be a box office game come Saturday.
Now, will you have a watch party? Are you going to Vegas? Or what's the plan for the Knicks fan TV community?
We will be having a watch party this Saturday at 4:30 p.m. at Sweet Spot. That is in Astoria, Queens. In Astoria, I'll get the address another time, but it's Sweet Spot Astoria. If our users Google it, we'll be there starting at 4:30, free to get in, and they can RSVP at KnicksFanTV.com.
Ian CP is serious about this, ain't he?
He is.
We've been doing this 9 years running, Glove. So
man,
this is what we
do. Listen, I got to get out to New York and get with y'all on a personal tip, man, because it sounds like it's fun out there.
Come on out. GP, I appreciate you coming back, man. I know you have to run. I just have one for you. Mm-hmm. Jalen Brunson, we all see him every night. Incredible scorer, incredible leader. I want to know, one, your thoughts on the Knick point guard, and then two, because you were an all-world defender, how would you approach defending a player like Jalen?
You know what, Ian? It's different now in this era because all the point guards are scorers now. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a really, really true point guard. But with Brunson, what you would have to do is, because he's so strong and he's so crafty of scoring the basketball, you have to make him very uncomfortable. I think that you have to make him do things that he's not comfortable with. If you let him get in a rhythm and start shooting the ball and getting to the bucket and overpowering you, he's going to be effective. What you have to do to him is that you got to make him uncomfortable. And then I think on the other end, you got to make him defend and play defense and try to get him in foul trouble so that he won't be so effective. And I think nowadays with this league, with these guys that can score, you can't stop anybody. You have to contain him. I think I would get the ball out of his hand a lot. I would try to trap him a lot, get the ball out of his hand, and make other people be effective on his basketball team. Because if he gets 30 to 35 to 40, there are going to be possibilities they're going to win basketball games. But if you can slow him down and get him into that 18-point range, 20-point range, you have a good shot of beating this Knicks team. And I think I would just keep the ball out of his hand, and then I would just deny him. I would make it tough for him and make it hard for him and make him work. every possible way. And then plus on the other end, like I said, you have to make him defend too. Make him defend and then see if he can get in foul trouble, and then it will go from there.
Man, if I had a basketball genie, one wish would be seeing you guys on the floor together. It would be a lot of fun to watch both you guys at your prime. GP, if I could sneak one more in, what do you, OG Anunoby, a couple words, how would you describe him as a defender?
I think he's a great defender because of what is his body size. I think he uses his size very well, and he's strong. Him and Kawhi Leonard reminds me of each other because they're very strong, and what they do is they make you do things, like I was just saying, be uncomfortable and make it very difficult for you to score the basketball. And he uses his size and strength ability to do that, and that's why he's so good. He doesn't take too many gamble plays. He doesn't gamble a lot. He plays you solid, and he makes you work for the things that you have to get. And that's why I like him so much, because he doesn't take gambles. He doesn't take risks. He makes you play for every possession that you have.
Wow, Mr. Payton, we really appreciate your time and your insight, man. When you come to New York, get with CP. We'll hit a watch party. We'll hang out in the garden. Just let us know.
I got to come before the basketball season over, man, because I got to hang out with y'all, man. And I'll make sure I do that.
We'll love it. We would love it. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Good luck today. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
CP, so you heard the description of Gary Payton, OG Anunoby, and what he thinks of OG as a defender. Am I wrong to say that this team swings on OG Anunoby if he's healthy and he's playing the way he can play? It just seems like a different team to me, especially the stretch when he was out and then he was back in. Is that overstating it?
Oh, not at all. As I call him, the dog, you know that OG's been ferocious, man. It's super thankful that he's back for this team. And what you saw is immediate payoff. Just look at how he played against the Knicks win over the Magic, that 106-100 win. I mean, he was an absolute demon on the steals. And then in the game against his old team in the Raptors, I think he turned that whole game upside down in the second quarter when he had two big blocks, one against Grady Dick that sent him home, and then he finished with 3 steals in that game as well. And so OG's just been phenomenal on the ball. And even though Gary said he doesn't gamble a lot, I think that's one of his biggest strengths is OG's ability to gamble. You know, Mike Brown talked about there's certain guys that have to stay within the structure, but there's other guys that can deviate. Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, they can deviate on the offensive side. Josh Hart, he can deviate as it relates to their rebounding principles. But OG defensively, his ability to gamble and his help defense, I think that just lifts up this Knicks team overall. And you see it in his ability to generate his own offense from getting those defensive stops. And then offensively, his ability to shoot the three-pointer, particularly from the corners, has been incredible for the Knicks.
Let's not go away from the duo here that I thought, deservedly so, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. They got criticism last year, Bridges in particular, during the regular season. It was up and down. There were moments where both players didn't seem like the best versions of themselves. And it was, I think not the easiest year. But to me, you're seeing both of those guys play at a different level this year. And the easy answer is the coach. And I don't think that's fair to Tom Thibodeau, but that's the easiest answer. Mike Brown here. Tom Thibodeau not here, and I don't think that's not even accurate. But I'm curious for you, when you look at the way that these two are playing now, what's the difference? I mean, what happened?
I also think a top quality for both those guys is being coachable. I mean, I've talked to Tom Crean, who coached OG Anunoby at Indiana and spoke glowingly of him, and those two guys still speak to this day. Mikal Bridges coming out of that Villanova system where you know that those guys coming into the league have a very high floor after being coached well by Jay Wright. And so I think it's just another year of chemistry with this team and playing alongside Jalen, playing alongside Karl, and knowing where those guys want the ball and vice versa. For Mikal Bridges, maybe it's getting that contract extension, having that security here in New York, but also going through that trial by fire, those high intensity moments, those pressure cooker situations. Karl Anthony Towns talked about it after the Knicks win against the Raptors, saying, listen, this is New York. Every game is under a microscope. And so I think there was a big adjustment there for Mikal Bridges. For OG Anunoby, not so much. I think he's fared pretty well here since he's been here. His impact on the Knicks winning percentage has shown that. But both of those guys, to me, have been fringe all-stars all year. And this is Wingstop. This is the vision that Leon Rose saw for this team when he made the trades to acquire both players.
You hit on a good percentage of the starting five. The starting lineup's been really good, I think, since Josh Hart came in. And it's interesting, CP, to me, because you're seeing some teams do what they tried to do last year with the Knicks, which was put a big on Josh Hart, put a wing on Karl Anthony Towns. And if Josh Hart's not hitting the outside shot, it basically gives you a lot of leeway defensively. And Josh Hart's making these teams pay at the moment. I think he's above 40% from beyond the arc as a starter. And it's just the lineup has functioned much, much better against that defensive tactic specifically than it did last season. We'll see where they go from here. I'm sure there's going to be other adjustments made by opponents, but to me, that's standing out right now. And is it as simple as Josh Hart's shooting? Are you seeing anything else?
To me, and Josh Hart has said it too, Ian, so it's not really a guess or an assumption. It's his confidence. His teammates have talked about it. He's talked about it, and we've seen it with him now being year 4 with the Knicks. His confidence kind of wavers, it wanes over the course of a season. But when he's stepping into those shots, when he's stepping into those threes and snapping the nets confidently, it just turns this Knicks offense on its head. And Josh Hart has been outstanding. As you said, since entering that starting lineup, in those previous 8 games, Josh Hart is averaging 17 points per game, 9 rebounds, and over 45% rather, from 3. I mean, those are incredible numbers. And I think it's also a byproduct of Mike Brown's offense, Ian, where it is equal opportunity. The ball movement is way more consistent than it was last year. So there's more opportunities for him to both get the ball in 3-point situations, but also play make out of that. So when teams are putting 2 on the ball with Jalen Brunson, it's usually Josh Hart. He's that guy playing through the middle, playmaking to the corners, or getting stopped or getting points at the rim. So he's been great there. But another statty in that where he's just jumping off the charts and even better than last year's in transition. I mean, he's in the 99th percentile right now in points per 100 possessions for this team in transition. So whether it's them getting off to the races off of turnovers or off of live rebounds, Josh Hart is one of those push-ahead guys that Mike Brown talks about, and he's playmaking and scoring, giving the Knicks a much added dimension to their offense.
Yeah, he's been the catalyst. Everybody in that lineup has played well at times, and for the most part, but Hart has been the catalyst to me of what's happened with the Knicks of late. And Mike Brown talked about how he obviously went in a different direction early in the season. Part of that was Josh Hart missing most of the preseason training camp with an injury. And so he went in a different direction. He had Josh Hart coming off the bench, and his assistants and other people around within the organization expressed their opinion that, hey, Josh Hart should be starting. This is the team that, won 50 games last year. Josh Hart was starting. And credit to Mike Brown. He listened, he took the information in, and he made a change, and it's worked out pretty well so far for New York. And you mentioned earlier, CP, Karl Anthony Towns. I thought this was an interesting stat from Automatic NBA on Twitter. He's in the 90th percentile scoring, 92nd percentile defensively, and I have to assume that's defending around the rim, and because the pick and roll and the perimeter defense, I think, is a bit of a different story, but he does challenge you around the rim, and he's not scared to go up when you go up and make it uncomfortable for you. But those numbers actually surprised me. I mean, with Towns is playing the way he's playing, Giannis Antetokounmpo up in Milwaukee, Towns would, let's say hypothetically, is part of that deal with other players. Right now, are you doing that? Are you going Towns plus, let's say, Deuce or Towns and Mikal for Giannis, the way the team looks right now?
I think it would be a mistake for the Knicks to blow it up right now, mid-season. based on how they're cooking right now and the momentum that this team is gaining. And I said this on my show yesterday. This isn't about Giannis and the main players for the Knicks who you would trade him for. You can come around to that trade or even be happy about that trade, for me, only if we know who the other pieces that are coming in this deal. If the Knicks are going to trade a Karl-Anthony Towns and maybe even an OG Anunoby to make this worth Milwaukee's while, you have to guarantee that the Knicks are also getting three-point shooting and additional defense in addition to Giannis. It's not about Giannis. It's about who's going to be that supporting cast for the Knicks bench and to round out their depth. Giannis can't go out there. He can't cover Shea, SGA, and Chet all at once. Right? He's not going to pick up the scoring deficit when you're taking out Karl-Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby, two of your best three-point shooters. So it's about the supporting cast. Who's the third or fourth team that you're involving in this trade to truly make the Knicks a contender? That, to me, is more TBD, and that's why if I'm the Knicks, you can't make that trade until after the season when you evaluate where this team is and how far they have to go. But right now, I like where they are.
It's interesting, and it's going to be something that, is in front of the Knicks until early February. Maybe at some point Giannis asks out. He hasn't yet. I think until you take that step, there's nothing really to talk about because Milwaukee's not trading him unless he has to be moved. We're not there yet, but we'll see where it goes because between now and February, every team in the NBA is keeping an eye on what's happening in Milwaukee. And Deuce McBride, CP, we're going to hit a couple injury updates because Knicks are saying that Miles McBride's going to be reevaluated in another week here. And so he's been out since, I believe it was December 12th with the Magic game.
Magic game, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it looked like a bad sprain, and he had an x-ray that was negative. He had an MRI. Pretty sure there's a second opinion or further imaging done along the way, and they're saying reevaluated in a week. And so you're going to be without McBride for at least a week, probably 2 weeks, and you're going to navigate that, I guess, with Tyler Kolek and maybe point guard by committee off the bench, more Jordan Clarkson. But what are you seeing in this Deuce absence in terms of how the Knicks have handled it?
Well, for Deuce, first off, an unfortunate setback for Deuce, who coming into this season has been red hot. The prior week, prior to his injury, the 4 games last week, he was averaging about 48% from downtown, 12 points per game. So he was red hot. And that's one of the things that I spoke to Deuce about this past summer in our interview. I asked him about last year he was beset by injuries and how that kind of threw him off a rhythm. You didn't really feel like Deuce was in a groove a lot last year. And he did speak on the fact that those things, the groin injury, the hamstring injury, really did limit him last year. So you were hoping that he would find some consistency this year. And so speedy recovery for him. But for the Knicks, in that next man up situation, you spoke about Tyler Kolek, and this is another opportunity for Kolek to capitalize on the opportunity that he's going to get here on both ends of the floor. But I also think it's really Jordan Clarkson who's going to be the most important piece here. He was ice cold coming into this week. He had a good game against Toronto in that quarterfinal matchup, the 12 points, secured a big offensive rebound in that fourth quarter that got the Knicks a three-pointer as well. And so, it's interesting in how this rotation is going to look, because in that fourth quarter, in crunch time, it was the Knicks starting 4 and Jordan Clarkson who was out there giving OG Anunoby a spell. So, he's going to be out there in big minutes for the Knicks, and his decision-making, his defense is going to be needed. And look no further than Saturday against Anthony Black. He's averaging 14 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists against the Knicks, and primarily he's gotten that done over Jordan Clarkson and over Jalen Brunson in the first 3 matchups. So Clarkson's going to have to step up, especially defensively, in Deuce's absence.
Yeah, it's one of the many fascinating elements to that game Saturday. NBA Cup semifinal, I believe tip-off 5 p.m. Knicks out in Vegas playing the Magic. 5:30, pardon me. And then the other injury here is Landry Shamet, and obviously hurt his shoulder. I believe the Knicks said he was going to be evaluated at the end of December. I knew at the time, I knew that they felt like he could probably avoid surgery here, and they were optimistic about that. I have not heard anything to sway me off of that reporting. So I think that with Shamet, everything continues to go apace. He should be back. I mean, not the 4-week mark when the reevaluation happens, but, soon thereafter, because I do think avoiding surgery and just rehabbing the way he's been will allow him to be back, mid-January, early January, assuming things go well. And then CP Mike Brown has some decisions to make. And if you're Mike Brown and you have Miles McBride back and you have Landry Shamet back, are you relaying the minutes the same way you were before Shamet went down? Are you changing anything? To me, it's an interesting question that Brown's going to have to answer, and it's a good problem to have because it's having too many healthy players. But how would you handle that?
Yeah, I think you would have to look at the prospects of a Tyler Kolek and, Gershon Yabusele, who's typically been on the outside looking in. He's been kind of considered that half in that, 9.5 man rotation. And so if and when Shamet comes back and Deuce comes back, number one, the bench gets much stronger, all right, especially defensively and from a 3-point shooting standpoint. Now, the backup point guard position and its effectiveness on this team has been something to watch all year. Obviously, where the Knicks are right now, it hasn't hampered them that much. But Mike Brown talked about it in meeting with the media after the Knicks win over the Magic in saying that, look, he looks at it as a by committee situation where a number of guys can be counted on to push the ball ahead and get the Knicks into their offense. We just talked about Josh Hart being one of those guys. Jordan Clarkson, for as much as he hasn't been shooting the ball consistently, he is a guy, Ian, that does get the paint touches that Mike Brown wants and does get to the free throw line. Now, he's got to knock down the free throws, but, he does get into that paint. And so they have been getting by without that backup point guard. But, it's Tyler Kolek's job right now to lose. And without Shamet and McBride, he has an opportunity to get better with this team.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity for him. And, particularly we're heading towards December 15th. And, you're mentioning the lack of a role for Gershon Yabusele. And that was the Knicks' biggest free agent acquisition. And he has not found minutes under Mike Brown. And so obviously there's not a fit there, maybe not the best fit maybe for Brown and his system. Maybe that's what Brown's seeing because he hasn't gotten the minutes that you would expect a player that the Knicks made such an investment in to get. The idea was depth to the bench, and your biggest depth add from the summer is not getting minutes. So it's just a bit of a curious situation, and one that, you would think that if it continues to go this way, maybe the Knicks and Gershon huddle up and figure something out and get him somewhere else, because this is obviously not what either side envisioned, I think, when they came together in free agency. So that's one of the more interesting things here is Yabusele's role. Does it change? Do the minutes increase, decrease, and what happens there? And CP, we're going to go now to storylines, which is presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. The Knicks beat the Raptors on Tuesday to advance to the semifinals of the NBA Cup in Vegas this weekend. And the Knicks are taking on the Magic, and they're currently the favorite to represent the East in the NBA Cup final with plus 400 odds to win it all. And no surprise, the Thunder, who are beating everybody, are the overall favorites at minus 250. Be sure to check out the Fanatics Sportsbook app for all your NBA future bets all season long. Fanatics Sportsbook, winning hits different here. We hit on it earlier, CP, the Magic and what the Knicks haven't done against them. And then sitting right there Tuesday, presumably, is the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I think, obviously both just interesting regular season tests for New York in Vegas. If they can get through Saturday, then you get to see the defending champion and see how you stack up there in a game that doesn't count. Actually, it will be the 83rd game for both teams. But I think, there are, to me, reasons to keep an eye on this tournament. And obviously the Magic have had the Knicks number early. The physicality, I think, in those first two games, to me, stood out. I mean, Wendell Carter specifically was very physical. Knicks obviously finding their way to a win. Franz Wagner leaving with that injury. Thank goodness it was only a 2 to 4 week thing and not a season-ending thing. But this, I like watching these games. I like watching these Knicks Magic games. And Jalen Brunson, based on the 3 games you've seen, how does he hold up against this Magic team, the physicality, the defense?
Well, so far, it hasn't really impacted him. He's coming into this series. He's averaging 31 points per game against the Magic. And it's interesting because when you ask the Glove how he would defend Jalen, when you look at what the Magic are doing, first it starts with Jalen Suggs, who's a tough defender in his own right. I like that matchup, that little game within the game. I love the matchup between those 2 players. But Jalen Brunson has gotten the best of that one. And then the Magic will also throw a bevy of their wings and front court players at Jalen. So you'll see Tristan Da Silva on him. You'll see Jonathan Isaac getting switched out onto him. You'll see Anthony Black covering him quite a bit in this game. And, those guys, those wings, front court players, they'll make it tough on Jalen because, number one, they'll use their wingspan to force him into tough shots. And a lot of those smarter defenders, they won't fall for a lot of the fakes that Jalen does to his advantage to create separation. That is where the wing player can help to neutralize Jalen Brunson. So it's going to still be a tricky matchup for him, and the Knicks are going to have to rely on his shot making. But I'm wondering from a Jamal Mosley standpoint, if he's looking at these previous 3 games saying, hey, we won 2 handedly, and we lost the other by 6 points, even without Franz. And all this with Jalen Brunson getting his points, I have to think Orlando still likes their chances. But for me, this is where Karl-Anthony Towns has to step up and win those matchups against the Wendell Carter Jr.'s of the world, the Jonathan Isaacs, and the Goga Bitadze's. I'm looking for a big game from the Big Bodega in this one for the Knicks to win.
Yeah, the Towns production makes a lot of sense. And CP, maybe it was just me, but before Wagner went down on Sunday, Knicks were having a tough time with Wagner and Bane, obviously, and Paolo. Just the 3 of those guys could do so much offensively. It seemed like the Knicks were on their way to a rough first half there before Wagner went out. Did you see the same thing? Because that was what I was thinking about before that injury.
They had to fight for everything, even to close the game. And that just goes to show you how tough of an opponent the Magic are. They're top 10 right now in contested shots. As I said earlier, they've held the Knicks to under their league average in terms of 3-point percentage and 3-point attempts. And so their defense is very stingy. And another big surprise about the Magic coming into this season, Ian, is that they don't turn the ball over as much as they have in the past. So there's very few opportunities to get quality points or easy points on this Orlando Magic team. And so the Knicks are going to have to be disciplined, take care of the ball, and try to number one, control the glass, because also the team that has won the rebounding battle in this series so far has won the game. And so they're going to have to be dialed in. You can't look past this Orlando Magic team. Desmond Bane is the guy that they need to watch. He can get it going in bunches, and he's a momentum killer.
Also, I guess he was a pretty good dodgeball player growing up. Man. It was a fastball that he threw. Thunder, I mean, they just look on another level, man. You look ahead and you think ahead postseason, June, and the Thunder just look like they're not head and shoulders, maybe just head above the rest of the league right now. Where are the flaws? And that's what I wonder. And that's why I would be, looking forward to taking a look at that Knicks Thunder matchup, and you get an extra one this year. But just in terms of the specific matchups with OKC, where do you see the Knicks having an advantage at any particular spot?
It's going to be tough. You look at this Thunder team. I mean, it's literally death by 1,000 cuts. Where do you want to start? You start with the MVP and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's practically unstoppable and untouchable, if you ask some of his detractors. You look at Chet Holmgren, who's taking another leap up in his evolution here with his team. They've been winning. They've only lost one game, and all of it primarily without Jalen Williams, who's now just getting back into the lineup here. Oh, by the way, AJ Mitchell, a draft steal who was drafted by the New York Knicks, is killing 17 points per game off the bench in Jalen Williams' absence. And then on top of that, their defense is elite. They turn you over, and they take those turnovers and turn those into points. And so it could be a situation where we're back in the Knicks versus Bull days when you were hoping that the Knicks would cut into the lead or take the lead when Jordan was on the bench. That's what you have to hope for now with SGA's on the bench, but unfortunately, they have just so many other guys that can kill you. It's a tough team right now. Tall order.
The depth, man. The depth is tough, and like it's interesting. I'm not one of those comparing other eras guys, but top to bottom, this team, like just top to bottom, better than those Bulls teams, because those Bulls teams had very good players on them, but just this Thunder team, look through that rotation, it just everybody is either at a serviceable or high level, and they come at you in waves. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. If we do see that on Tuesday, CP, let's hit a couple stories around the league. A couple of things that obviously December 15th coming up. That's the first date where a lot of the players who signed as free agents are eligible to be traded. So it's not an official deadline. It's just the kind of opening of the floodgates, so to speak, of players who now can be traded and will be eligible to be dealt. And so the thing that I'm looking at New Orleans, because obviously they sent a lot out to draft Derek Queen, and they're obviously invested in his success, and he's looked very good on a few different nights here early on in his rookie year. But when you're on that kind of timeline, what does that mean for the rest of your veterans, your older guys? And I think teams around the league are just keeping an eye down there to see who's New Orleans going to make available, what will they want for those players. New York product, Jose Alvarado, if they make him available, the Knicks, I'm sure, will be one of those teams that are interested. The Knicks will be among many teams that are interested in Jose Alvarado if he is made available. And the interesting thing with Jose is, the salary, I believe he is at $4.5 million. So like salary matching is less difficult at that number. And, you talk about backup point guard for the Knicks. You talk about a player in Alvarado who defends and brings a passion on that end of the floor. I'm sure a lot of teams will be calling if New Orleans made him available. I'm also sure the Knicks will be one of them if New Orleans gets to that point, which I think they will. Your thoughts on an Alvarado addition to New York?
Definitely bring him in if you can. You think about a guy like that, and you think about the playoffs being as much as an endurance test as it is a game of skill and where the best teams win. But a guy like an Alvarado who can pick up 94 feet, really harass a ball handler, make it difficult for a team to get into their offense and really drain that shot clock. And a local guy who's going to wear that orange and blue with pride. I think those are the type of margin acquisitions that Leon Rose should be looking to make to really fortify this team. So the Pelicans are a team that I'd be interested in. Now, some fans have bigger goals in terms of Herb Jones, Trey Murphy III. Those trades will be much more difficult to make, just given the fact that the Knicks don't really have the capital to match and also the draft assets to satisfy New Orleans' potential trade requests for either one of those guys. Also looking at the Clippers. Could the Clippers make a few guys available? Is it like a Nicholas Batum or someone of that caliber that could help the back end of this rotation?
Right. Philadelphia, I mean, there's a number of different places where it could go either way. Teams kind of figuring out, are we buyers, are we sellers? I don't know if you remember the game, but there was a game, it was January 20th, 2022, where Jose had, I think there was a lot of Christ the King or his buddies from the city. I think they were front row, or they were in a very section close by, and he started to light it up. I think he had 13 points, 4 assists, 4 steals, and made a lot of key plays. And I just remember that game. The game just stands out to me because he got his own crowd really going, and that was one of those games early on in his career where you could see, there's definitely an NBA player here, somebody who can impact winning.
Blood, sweat, and tears. That is what you want to bring that energy to Madison Square Garden. And insurance, when this Knicks backcourt rotation is at full health, there could be a logjam. But hey, some nights Clarkson might not have it. Some nights, hey, maybe Deuces doesn't have it. So bringing in a guy like that can change the energy, change the tempo of a game, I think that'd be a good trade for the Knicks to make.
Yeah, and you mentioned actually Trey Murphy III, and I know that the Warriors are among the teams that will have interest if Murphy III is made available. in New Orleans, and it'll be interesting to see what direction Joe Dumars and his group goes there. But I think Golden State would be among those teams, among a large group of teams that would have interest if he is made available in New Orleans. So just another thing around the league to keep an eye on. We hit on Giannis earlier. I don't think we need to go back there. Where I want to go though, CP, is Pablo Torre Finds Out. Great show, podcast, YouTube show with Pablo Torre. They found the Wu-Tang video that I guess the Knicks asked Wu-Tang to put together to try to recruit Kevin Durant way back in the summer of 2019. Have you seen the video?
I have seen the video. Yes.
I need your thoughts.
I'll say this. Given the current state of hip hop and rap music in our society, it is always appreciated to see any form of Wu-Tang content, whether it's past or present. So the kid in me, the teenager and the young 20-year-old, the nostalgia in me, it peaked. So I was happy to see those guys again. The song itself, I would say, you can put that on the shelf. I put a tweet out there. I said, hopefully that song made it to the Farmer Bro album that was unreleased. Maybe it went to Martin Shkreli's album. You put that over there. But so, look, I think it speaks. I think it also spoke to the times, though, Ian, where, the Knicks had nothing to sell these guys on other than these type of Hollywood or entertainment theatrics, because they couldn't sell them on winning. So they had to slap lipstick on a pig. But it's different now. We're in a different time now where, thankfully, you've seen some organizational stability. You've seen winning here. Thank you, Leon Rose. Thank you, Tom Thibodeau. You see star power in Jalen Brunson and Tom Thibodeau. And now it's to the point where you don't have to sell guys. You can go out there, you can get a Yabusele and a Clarkson without even having a coach signed on yet, because the foundation, it's strong right now. The foundation is strong.
Yeah. You don't have to, but I would have liked to seen what they would have put together for Dante DiVincenzo when they were pursuing Dante. What kind of strings are you pulling? Who are you getting to put something together for Dante? But yeah, just a fun Nick artifact unearthed by Pablo Torre Finds Out. Be sure to go check that out. And the thing that I wonder about that, I just want to be. Excuse me, CP. Had something coming in. The thing I wonder about where we are now, baseball season, a lot of Mets news. Alonso gone, Diaz gone. Are you a baseball guy?
I'm a Yankees guy, a hopeless, fanatic. I just don't see, I just see a lake between them and the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. So it just seems like the Yankees are kind of just treading water. They've been doing that for the past couple of years. Hopefully when Cole gets back, they get a little bit stronger pitching-wise, but I just don't see them being a strong fall ball team. I just don't see it with the Yankees, man.
Are you the kind of Yankee fan that when you see Alonso sign in Baltimore, when you see Diaz sign with the Dodgers, are you pumping your fist? Are you happy to see the Mets kind of in flux here, or do you not really care?
No, I never root for the Mets and the Mets fans and their despair. I never root for it. They're like the Jets fan. You just feel bad for them, Ian. You know what I mean? Like you can't really kick them any further down. They're already on the bottom. So you just hope for things to turn around, but you can understand the frustration and the anger from these two fan bases, because the front offices year after year, doesn't matter who they bring in there, they always find a way to not get the job done.
The interesting thing, CP, it's not apples to apples at all, but as you're seeing Alonso go, as you're seeing Edwin Diaz go, and then the Brendan Nimmo trade, it just reminds me a little bit of the weeks leading up to that offseason before the Knicks signed Jalen Brunson, where they were trading, an Alec Burks, and they were trading Nerlens Noel to create the cap space to go out and get Jalen Brunson, a guy that they had their eyes on since day one, obviously. And so at the time, they're trading guys that they had signed the previous offseason. So you're scratching your head. And again, not apples to apples with Alonso or Diaz, but just a kind of an all-in moment for Leon Rose at that point. If Jalen Brunson comes here and it doesn't work, I think everybody's gone. But obviously it didn't go that way. It went the exact opposite way, and here we are. Seems like David Stern's, in a way, putting all his chips in and building this team into with his own vision as far as what's happened the past few days. But nobody's coming here for Mets analysis. There's plenty of talented experts on this network where you could go talk Mets. We've got, again, Saturday, Knicks Magic semifinal NBA Cup. And fantastic show, CP. Thank you so much for your time. Gary Payton, Hall of Famer, was with us earlier talking about how he defend Jalen Brunson, among other topics. Thank you to tuning in for this episode of the Putback, everybody, presented by Fanatic Sportsbook. And we will be back with you guys next Wednesday with another episode of the Putback.